Hallo und herzlich willkommen zurück zu Stanley Parable. So rum. Ich habe jetzt gerade die Uhrzeit frisch angegeben, jetzt will er mir wieder was sagen. Ja. Weiß ich nicht, weil ich dachte, dass das vielleicht Relevanz ist. Das Spiel. Ich habe nur die Uhrzeit eingestellt. Mehr wollte ich doch gar nicht. Kann ich da nicht auf Fortsetzen drücken können, tun?
This is the story of a man.
Ja, so. Willkommen zurück. Die Uhrzeit ist aber immer noch nicht die ich auch eingestellt habe.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Ja.
Stanley decided to go to
muss
the
wieder die
meeting.
Rechner alle
Perhaps he
ausschalten.
had simply missed a memo.
Das ist meine Aufgabe hier, Strom zu sparen. War hier nicht irgendwo dieser Raum, wo es neuen Content gab? Ich glaube, der kommt erst da vorne. Genau, hier. New Content, weil da hatte ich, glaube ich, nichts mehr, was ich machen sollte.
New content? What does that mean? New content.
Okay, ich habe die Tür so weit aufgemacht, dass ich da hinten nicht mehr reinkomme. Aber... nun ja.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers.
Ja, ich
The
habe den
Stanley
ersten
Parable
Teil
Ultra
noch nie
Deluxe
gespielt.
features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content. Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure. Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
Okay, ich muss immer wieder neu Leertaste drücken. Aber ich kann jetzt springen auf einmal. Das konnte ich davor noch nicht. Und ducken, weiß ich nicht mehr. Ging das davor? 3, 2, 1. Jetzt darf ich wieder nicht mehr springen. Was für eine Freude.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Goodness. Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh wait, there's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Runter. Weil bestimmt runter. Ich bin nicht runtergefallen. Okay.
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Verdammt. Das ist anders. Warum ist hier alles schon wieder anders, als es davor war? Springen kann ich weiterhin nicht mehr, ducken kann ich mir nicht.
Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
Ja, aber nee. Da war der normale Weg. Ja, ich bin ja eigentlich schon gespannt, was in dem Vent ist. Außer ein riesiger Lüfter, der mich vielleicht zerhäckselt. Ich stehe nicht automatisch auf in einem 1x1 Block. Wow, es ist anders als Tomb Raider.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret.
Was
Take a
zum...
look.
Aber...
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
Das ist schön hier. Vor allem diese tolle 2D-Sträucher, die 2D-Blumen. Ein dreidimensionaler Korb. Ein nicht vorhandenes Vogelhäuschen, was aber eins sein könnte.
You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
2013. Mhm. Ist das der erste Dollar, der bezahlt wurde? Oder nicht? Ja, genau. Jetzt spielt ihr hier wieder Musik rein, die ich übersprechen muss, weil Copyright geschützt und so ein Quatsch. Also auf geht's in den nächsten Raum und
And over here is where I get reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
ja, das sagt jetzt hier wieder so. Da kann ich nicht rein, aber ich verstehe jetzt, dass da draußen Minecraft, dass da draußen ein Hamster war, weil ich fühle mich eigentlich wie ein Hamster-Portal. Das sind die zwei einzigen Personen. Ich und diese komische Frau. Mhm.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories. These were simpler times, Stanley, but I wouldn't give to go back to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they? Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Steam Reviews sind aber ganz schön viele. Gut, was erwarte ich auch.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered. What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have. And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for
Ich
you
höre mir
very
jetzt voll zu.
briefly, and you can
Ich
tell me
brauche
what
keinen
you
Skip-Button.
think. Okay, so my theory is that any choice you've ever made is simply a series of choices made by the person who you are, or were, or will be at the time of having made said choice. That is to say, if by articulating a choice you've already made,
Ihr könnt
you
also auch
bring that
abschalten.
choice
Das
into
nehme
being,
ich mir jetzt einfach
then
noch
by
aus
making
Langeweile
no
und dann
choice and saying nothing, are you not
beginnen
simply
wir die nächste Folge
erecting in the
wahrscheinlich wieder am
sanctuary of
Schreibtisch.
time a monument to every person you've ever been?
Hier ist der Marvin aus dem Schnitt. Ihr dürft nicht abschalten. Ihr müsst weiterschauen. Auf jeden Fall weiterschauen.
Making every choice to which you've ever given your great gift of mortal and yet timeless thought? Or rather, do all of the choices you've ever made, in fact, make you more not this kind of person, and in fact do the very opposite? You see, it could in fact be both of these things at once. That you are both making choices and not making choices, and that they are both affecting you and not affecting you at the same time by virtue of the fact that you both are and are not making them. Okay, at first, I was leaning towards manifesto, but now I'm going to circle around and slap the treatise label on this one. I think it has much more of a treatise vibe to it. But wouldn't you say that manifesto just has a much grander sort of tone? It has a mouthfeel that is rich with ambition and history. Ambitious history, if you will. Ah. See, now you've gotten me going back to manifesto. Heavens, at this rate, we're going to be here all day. Okay, look. I have a method for exactly this sort of situation, and I do find myself in this situation frequently. I'm going to say each word back and forth in repeated succession until I become sick of one or the other, in which case the word I am not sick of shall be the victor. It is an unimpeachable strategy, Stanley. It's rescued me from disaster in countless situations. All right, here we go. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go pull. Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45... Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times. And
Vielleicht
there's
seid ihr ja doch
no
noch da.
door,
Ich dachte, der hört
There's
auf zu
no
erzählen.
door. There's just you and the button, and if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no idea how long I'll be made to sit here, and more... Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time, just sitting here, not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking. Oh, hello, it's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time.
Kein Sprecher mehr. Das ist belastend. Ja, dann drücken wir halt wieder auf den Knopf. Funktioniert die Uhr noch? Nein, die ist auch kaputt gegangen. Wie dieser arme Baum, der musste sterben. Gott, verflucht der Rauchmelder. Ist auch leer. Die Uhr hat sich mittlerweile verabschiedet von der Wand. Oh, ist das nervig. Weg mit. Einfach skippen.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the new Stanley parable. We demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires, every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no reason other than to do so? Yes! Yes! It seems that this is now the world we live in. It seems that we are a people living in such bleakness and discomfort with ourselves that our entertainment is now our lives. It has come to represent us. It absolutely must speak to who we are as people, because otherwise, without our entertainment, we have nothing. Without entertainment, we would have to face inward toward the cruel bleakness inside ourselves. We would turn to look at our deeper nature and find a resounding emptiness gazing back with unyielding aggression. And so because of this, we require that our amusements and our playthings and our flights of fancy be so impossibly captivating that they consume all of our attention, turn our heads completely away from the bleakness. In effect, we have demanded that our entertainment be the collapse of ourselves. What a pitiful reflection of humanity these entertainments are. What a shameful mirror to the human spirit they project. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about any of this. I'm at peace with it. I am the calm center of gravity around which these perversions hurl themselves. I am a waypoint for reasonable and collected discourse. They're the ones who are mad. They're the ones who couldn't stand the idea of me using my game to try to say something. Maybe they were just jealous of me. Yes. Yes, of course. They've been jealous.
Immer noch keine Tür da, wo ich wieder raus könnte. Ja, dann einfach noch mal den Button drücken.
The end is never the end, 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 is never the
Zum Sie haben die Uhr getötet. Wie konnten sie nur? Was zum... Wie lange war der Skip-Button gedrückt? Warum ist hier alles grün? Willkommen in Portal. Oh, es ist alles wieder tot. Ich wollte kein Horrorspiel. Ah, der Skip-Button ist kaputt und wir stürzen ab und... Wozu? Was ist passiert? Und jetzt funktioniert das Skip-Button vielleicht noch. Ich will nicht durch die ewige Einöde laufen. Hallo? Ne, der tut nicht mehr. Okay. Dann... da hinten hat's Berge, zu denen laufe ich einfach. Da wird alles wieder gut sein. Oder so. Weil Berge sind immer schön. Warum ist die Musik so verdammt laut? Hätte ich nicht jemand irgendwie leiser machen können?